The Word Scramble project uses a list collection to contain a list of words with 5 words randomly selected from that list, the letters of those 5 words scrambled, displayed for the user to unscramble and get to the original words. We'll use a stream reader to read the data in. So we can do different data files so the user can create their own data files with their own list of words, maybe for a teacher in a classroom or a parent with their child. And in doing that, we'll read each line in using the stream reader read line. We'll use the random to randomly select words, and we'll be using some nested loops and nested structures to make this all work. Let me demonstrate the project. It starts out with these 5 words, which are guess scrambled words. So guess scrambled words from letters. I can load a data list, and I'm going to load this words_animals.txt. I provide this one and the words 5th grade, which is spelling words for 5th grade class, but you can also create your own. The text file has a title line at the top and then each word on its subsequent line. So there's my 5 animals out of 124 words, and I need to guess what these animals are. And you can see that as I get a word right, the back color of the text box turns lime. And if I can't get a word, I can click the I give up. It verifies that I want to see the answers. I say yes, and I see that missing word was peacock. And I could then do a new scramble. That's going to give me 5 words again from that same animal list, or I could load a new data list. Here are the written project instructions, with the alignment being reading a list of words from a data text file, putting those in a list, and using an OpenFielDialog to make that happen. And then we're also reviewing some of the things from previous lessons in terms of using loops and the random number generator. See some screenshots. So our assignment is to create that project. I give you 2 sample text files, data files. One is of 5th grade spelling words, and one is of a list of animal names. Here's the storyboard. And I give you some code to start, and that's going to be your class level list of strings. And then I use 2 other arrays, since these are just very short. The first one is a populated array of guess scrambled words from letters, of 5 strings. And then I also use an array of scrambled, which has 5 elements. Those are going to be the scrambled letters of those 5 puzzle words. And I created a random number object. We're going to code the text changed event of those 5 text boxes. Those can all use the same event handler, and we can figure out the number of each of those text boxes. They're named txt word 1 through txt word 5. So if we get the name into the substring 7, that's going to be a 1 through 5. And we can use that then as our index number to get the puzzled words by simply subtracting 1 from that number, since our numbers go from 0 to 4, and those numbers go from 1 through 5. The btn load button is going to use an OpenFielDialog to go find our data file, our text file, read that data in using a read line as part of a stream reader, and then we'll call another procedure called new puzzle, which will randomly choose 5 letters from that list of words, and then also randomly scramble the letters of those 5 words. You can create a method that is passed the word, and it scrambles the letters and returns that scrambled value. The btn new button will also call that same new puzzle sub-procedure to generate 5 new words and scramble those. And then we'll code the btn show answers button to look at what words have not been correctly identified and to show those answers and highlight that in red. Make sure you test and debug. I'll show you my storyboard, and I'm going to suggest that you pause here and recreate the storyboard and see if you can code it. And if you struggle, come back and I'll show you my solution. There are 4 event handlers that we need to write for this interface. The btn load button will use a OpenFielDialog to retrieve a text file that contains a list of words. And from that list, we will randomly choose 5 words and scramble the letters of those words and display those on the left and the user will enter their guesses on the right. That list might contain many words, and so we have a new button, BTN new, that will randomly choose 5 new words, scramble the letters, and allow the user to play. The 5 text boxes will all share a text changed event in that if the word that the user enters is the correct word, the unscrambled word, the back color will turn lime green or lime, showing they've got it correct. If, however, they can't get it, we have a button down here called BTN Show Answers, and the text I give up, we can click on that. We're going to verify want to see the answers through a dialog box, through a message box, and then show the words that are not correct with a red background. So that's what we're going to code. Let's go take a look at the code. We've already seen my class level variables in the instructions. I dimmed word list as list of type string equals a new list of type string. That's going to contain all the words we read in from the data file. Puzzle words, I've populated it as having 5 elements. Initially, guess scrambled words from letters are my 5 strings. Scrambled is also a 5-element array of type string. Going from 0 to 4 for my indices, it's going to contain the scrambled letters of those 5 words. And then I have my random number generator as R&D. For the BTN load, I'm going to call a method of read data, and I'm going to enable the BTN new button if the word list is greater than 4. If there's not more than 4 words, then I don't want to enable that new button because we wouldn't have any new puzzles to solve. We'll look at the read data here in a minute. The BTN new button, its click event simply calls a method called new puzzles, which read data will also call. So the read data is going to read in our data list, and then it's going to call new puzzles to create those 5 puzzles. BTN new does not read in new data, it simply creates the new puzzles. Word entry handles the text changed of those 5 text boxes. And in there, I'm going to get the integer at the end of each of those names. So txt word 1 will be 1, txt word 2 will be 2. And I'm going to use that as my index -1 to see if they've correctly identified the word. So if sender.text equals puzzle words idx -1, then I'm going to set the back color to lime green. Else, we'll keep it white. So that's going to change the color as they enter the word to lime green or lime once they've got the correct word. The BTN Show Answers uses a message box, and I'm checking to see if they clicked the yes button in that message box as to if they really do want to show the answers, having them confirm that. If they do, then I've got a little object array called myEntry as type text box. It's going to contain those 5 text boxes, txt word 1 through txt word 5. I'm going to iterate through those in a loop, and if the text of my entry element I does not equal puzzle words element I, then my entry element I.text equals the puzzle words element I. So that'll put the correct word in the text boxes that were not correctly identified and change that back color of my entry's element I to orange red. Here is the read data sub-procedure. I'm going to create my file as string. Going to create a stream reader of SR, next word is string variable, and then OFD word list.show dialog. That's going to bring up my OpenFielDialog that I named OFD word list. My file equals OFD word list.file name, and then I'm going to populate my data file with the word list once I read it. So if my file is not null, so they specified a file, we're going to clear our word list, open that text file into our stream reader SR. We're going to read the first line, that's that subtitle line that we're going to put into LBL subtitle.text. That's right below our Word Scramble title in the upper left. Then I'm going to go through line by line using a do until sr.endstream. We could also say do while sr.peak does not equal -1. Both of those would work. Next word will be the next line that I read in. I don't want any words that are 3 letters or less. And this compensates for the tendency to maybe put a blank line when we're creating that text file at the end. That can mess things up. There's nothing to scramble there. So I want to make sure my word length is greater than 3, and I also want to make sure it doesn't contain a space. So if next word length is greater than 3 and next word.index of a space is a -1, so they didn't find a space in the word, then I'm going to add that next word to my word list. And I'll loop through adding all the words, hit my end if. I'm going to concatenate to LBL subtitle.text the number of words that are in the word list. And then I'm going to call new puzzles. So we've populated our word list. Now we need to create our puzzles. And here's our new puzzle subprocedure. I'm going to create a label array of my 5 labels, LBL Scramble 1 through LBL Scramble 5. I'm going to create my entry as a text box, also being those 5 text words, TXT word 1 through TXT word 5. I do that so I can clear those 5 text boxes. I'm going to dim IDX as an integer, and then I'm going to loop through from 0 to 4. And each time through that loop, I'm going to grab a IDX equaling the random number generator next of word list count. That'll give me from 0 to 1 less than the word list count. I'm going to loop as long as the puzzle words contains that word. So I won't have any duplicate words. We've used Boolean arrays to do that in the past. We can also use with our list, we can use the contains method to see if it contains that word. Puzzle words element I equals word list IDX. So I'm going to populate those 5 puzzle words, and then I want to scramble those. So my label element I.text equals, and I'm going to call another method called scramble word and pass it that word, word list IDX, and I'm going to clear my entry element I. So that's going to be the corresponding text box. And I'm going to put the focus then in that first text box. And then finally, here's the scramble word function where I'm passing it a word. I'm going to pass it as XYZ. It's going to return a string. So dim ABC, a string equals XYZ. I'm going to keep a master copy of that. And I'm going to use this to eliminate the letters as used. I'm going to dim scramble as string equals XYZ. And again, I'm going to have a random number generator. IDX is an integer variable. And do while scramble equals XYZ. I want to make sure that the scrambled letters are not coming up the same as the word. It's possible, especially for a 5-letter word, that we could get the same 5 letters in that same order. If that happens, we're going to regenerate the scrambled word. So scramble equals quote, quote. We're going to clear that scramble. ABC equals XYZ. And then for J equals 0 to ABC.count minus 1. I'm going to start from 0 and go to the last letter. That's the count minus 1. IDX equals random next generator ABC.count. So we're going to simply generate a random number between 0 and the last letter. Scramble is going to be incremented by abc.substring IDX. That's the random index that we came up with, and get one character. So IDX comma 1. And then I'm going to remove that character from ABC. ABC is going to basically function as my tool to make sure that we don't reuse the letters. So ABC equals abc.remove IDX comma 1. Remove that one letter. Now remember, remove is a immutable method, so I've got to make sure I reassign that back to ABC. So ABC equals abc.remove IDX comma 1. I'm going to loop through that, and I'm going to return then the scramble word. And that will scramble those 5 words as they are called through the loop in the new puzzle method. If you just jumped into this video, you can see all the videos from the Programming Practicum playlist by clicking on the image in the lower right. And if you'd like to be alerted to future videos I create, you can click my picture in the top right to subscribe to the channel.